Live from WRAL News headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
Our next weather maker, a cold front that'll come through around the middle of the day. Windy, but not terribly wet. And then why are we going to warm up for Easter? We'll show you how to plan for it.
Shot and killed in a car. What we know this morning as we take you to the scene in Durham where police were investigating for hours.
And affordable housing efforts. This is one of the top concerns for Raleigh's council today. The updates we're expecting on how your tax money is being used on these projects. Thank you so much for joining us here on your Tuesday morning, April 15th. It's tax day. I'm Michelle McConaughey.
And I'm Chris Levingood. But remember, here in North Carolina, we have a little extension into May for Hurricane Helene. We'll dive into that in a little bit. But first, we got to get to our weather forecast with Elizabeth Gardner. Apex looking pretty nice over there.
It does. We're starting to see a little bit of high thin cloud cover. Those clouds will really thicken up as we get closer to lunchtime. We have our next weather maker, a cold front that'll come through around midday into early afternoon. Ahead of that, it's a little breezy. We have a southwest wind at about 10 to 15 miles per hour around the viewing area. Our temperature officially at RDU is 67. Winds start to gust from 25 to 30 later this afternoon, so it'll feel breezy to windy. But the winds will be shifting to northwesterly, so we'll start to cool things off, especially tonight and tomorrow. Our temperatures currently are in the mid to upper 60s for the most part, so feeling pretty nice out there. Our 24-hour temperature change, it's in some places 10 to 15 degrees warmer than it was this time yesterday. So you might think about grabbing a coat. You may not need it, just a light jacket. Hour by hour rain chances, just right around lunchtime. We'll have a quick band of rain that'll come through. I'm going to walk you through that with Futurecast coming up in just a little bit. Our highs this afternoon, definitely cooler than yesterday, but comfortable in the low 70s, Ken.
801 Elizabeth, we're seeing congestion building on many of our major routes, including the Beltline this morning. You can see the southern loop of the Beltline starting at Lake Wheeler Road, as well as the northern loop of the Beltline coming off those I-87 lanes with Capitol Boulevard and the like. Here's what it looks like on the southern loop. Those are the westbound lanes moving away from us. They're moving, but rather slowly. To the east of Raleigh this morning on I-87 and Smithfield Road, you can see the slow-moving, slow traffic that we're seeing there on those 87 lanes coming in from Nightdale. Probably you're looking at a 3 to 5 minute delay, but you see that traffic is moving. In terms of major routes, other major routes, you can see the 8-minute delay there in Nightdale. You're looking at a 13-minute delay if you're coming in from Wake Forest this morning on US 1. Over in the Bull City, right now this is a crash on the Durham Freeway that's shutting down a couple of lanes. You can see the huge delays it's causing in that area. Keep an eye on that and let you know how much that's going to continue to affect your morning commute. You're getting ready to head out the door. Tune us in on the radio, 101.5 HD3.
New this morning, I-40 East in Durham is back open after being closed for almost 5 hours this morning. This is because of a tractor-trailer crash. This video you're seeing is from the WRAL Breaking News Tracker around 2 o'clock this morning on I-40 and Barbie Road. Now, it's not clear right now what exactly led up to the crash or whether anyone was injured.
Around 3:30 this morning, Durham police cleared the scene where a man was found shot and killed in his car. The shooting happened around 9 o'clock last night near Cortland Drive and Brighton Road. We are working to learn the man's name and if police have information on a shooter.
New this morning, investigators say a person died after they were found shot in a vehicle in Granville County. Now, at first, police were called to a report about a vehicle crash, and that was at the intersection of Gate Number 2 and the Gate Number 2 Road, I should say, and the I-85 northbound off-ramp. Now, when they got there, they found a victim in the vehicle, and that person was shot. They were taken to the hospital, and that's where they died. And we are working to learn if police have information regarding a shooter.
Today, a proposal for you to pay a toll on part of Capitol Boulevard will take a step forward. Raleigh City Council will hear a presentation on a study that looked at that option between 540 and the Franklin County line along the road. This comes after complaints there aren't enough lanes and too many cars. The construction would take about 6 years, and some drivers say they are not interested.
I'm not worried about that. I'm kind of a penny pincher, so I avoid everything that costs if I can.
You can find a link to the survey to share your thoughts on the proposal on WRAL.com.
Today, state lawmakers will debate a plan on how to spend billions of your tax dollars. State Senate Republicans are working on a plan that would spend more than $30 billion. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey is at the state legislative building. And Kelsey, the proposed budget goes to committees today.
Yes, Chris, today state lawmakers will take a closer look at that budget. Our NC Capitol team spent hours here at the legislative building digging through those details. We'll give you a breakdown of what we know so far. The total budget is $32.6 billion. $700 million of that is going towards Helene recovery. Raises for teachers and state employees are much smaller than what we've seen in recent years. The average teacher raise is 2.3% in the first year, while the average state employee raise is 1.25% in the first year. Law enforcement and correctional officers will receive a $3,000 bonus over 2 years. State Senate leader Phil Berger says the Senate budget will double down on more cuts, ensuring income taxes will drop from 4.25% this year to just under 3% in tax year 2028. Despite the fact analysts warn this could lead to a budget deficit by 2027. Our NC Capitol team will be back here this morning. They'll be following up on what's going on. They plan to ask lawmakers what they think should pass in the final budget. If you want a full breakdown of the budget proposal, head to our website, WRAL.com. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
And the new state budget could also mandate more sports matchups for North Carolina's college teams. State Senate Republicans are working to extract more money from sports games and betting in their budget proposal. Their plan would offer state schools more money for their athletic departments, and in exchange, UNC and NC State would play other schools in the UNC system. They would also double the tax rate on sports betting operators from 18 to 36%.
Attorneys for Tufts University student Rumeysa Ozturk say that her rights were violated. Now, specifically, when 6 masked immigration officers arrested her, that is what their complaint is about. Ozturk was in court yesterday after that arrest from nearly 3 weeks ago, and the Trump administration says she was taken into custody for activities in support of Hamas. Ozturk is a Turkish national, and she is in the U.S. on a student visa. She's now at an immigration detention center in Louisiana. She says she is not being given proper medical care for recurring asthma attacks while in custody.
A second Palestinian student who helped organize rallies on Columbia University's campus is now in custody of immigration officers. Video shows Mohsin Madawi being taken away from Vermont immigration officers in handcuffs. Madawi went to the office for what was supposed to be the final step in his citizenship process. A Vermont judge issued a temporary restraining order preventing his removal from the state. Madawi's detention follows that of fellow rally organizer Mahmoud Khalil last month.
El Salvador's president says he will not return the Maryland man mistakenly deported there. President Trump met with the El Salvadorian president yesterday, and when asked about Kilmar Abrego Garcia, both leaders say that he would not return to the United States. Not long ago, the Supreme Court ordered the administration to facilitate his return. Abrego Garcia has never been charged criminally in the United States or El Salvador. He was given protected status in 2019 and is married to a U.S. citizen.
Covering Wake County today, Raleigh City Council has a packed schedule of projects and opinion sessions. First, an update on affordable housing initiatives and efforts to address homelessness. Raleigh's Mayor Janet Cowell says this is her #1 issue for the city. The council will see a draft affordable housing plan and potential new strategy for helping unhoused people. Today's session will also include updates on how the 2020 affordable housing bond is being spent.
Then you can provide opinions on the city's future development and budget plans today. You can make suggestions for how the city plans to spend your tax dollars. The Raleigh Consolidated Plan lays out how the city will use $4.5 million to serve communities from 2026 to 2030. And their 2025 budget is also for consideration.
And Raleigh's leaders will also consider some rezoning requests today as well. A lot on Creedmoor Road near Crabtree Valley Mall is under consideration for an upgrade. It is currently zoned for up to 4 stories of office buildings. Developers are requesting the city approve this spot for a 7-story hotel. We will be sure to bring you the results of any major decisions made by the Raleigh City Council today. Look for updates on WRAL News from 4 to 7:30 this evening.
A teenager was hurt in a shooting near Biltmore Hills in South Raleigh, and this happened yesterday afternoon on Fitzgerald Drive. When officers arrived, they found the 19-year-old shot in the knee, and he was taken to the hospital and is expected to live. Police are still looking for a suspect.
We now know the name of the victim in a deadly shooting in Fayetteville. 22-year-old Jalen Thornton was shot to death at the College Lakes Recreation Center. Police were called to the scene around 5 p.m. on Sunday. They found Thornton dead at the scene. So far, no arrests in the case. Coming up, shaken San Diego, much of Southern California working on repairs today after an earthquake. A look at the moment those tremors hit.
Plus, a fiery attack. We are learning more today about the man who is accused of setting fire to Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro's home. We have details from his first court appearance.
And our weather maker today is a cold front that'll swing through closer to lunchtime. Clouds will increase and we'll have a brief window where we can see a little bit of light rain. I'll walk you through the timeline on Futurecast. 8:13, taking a look at RDU. Now starting to see a little bit more cloud cover. I think about every 15 minutes we take a look at weather, it seems a little bit more cloudy. That's because of our next weather maker. It's a cold front coming through. Our temperatures ahead of that front have been nice and warm yesterday and this morning. 67 Durham, 65 in Fayetteville, 63 degrees in Cary. Winds are going to continue to be strong and get stronger as we get through the afternoon. We're steady out of the west-southwest at about 10 to 15 right now, but we'll see those winds increasing later on today to about 15 to as much as 30 as we get into the middle of the afternoon. Not much chance of rain. It's going to be a fairly dry front coming through, just a 20% chance mid to late afternoon. We're not expecting any severe weather. However, about a month ago, we had a very long track tornado across parts of Arkansas. Meteorologist Chris Michaels coming up to talk about how long tornadoes can travel. And of course, Ken's here to talk about how long you may have to travel this morning.
Absolutely. Depending on where you go this morning, you're looking at a little bit of a slowdown because we're seeing congestion building on many of our major routes, including the Beltline, particularly the northern loop of the Beltline, those lanes coming in off of 87. You get it on Capitol Boulevard, Six Forks Road, and the like. We're also seeing some congestion building on the southern loop of the Beltline. This is what it looks like. I-40 and Lake Wheeler Road, those are the westbound lanes moving away from us. So definitely give yourself some extra time this morning with traffic constantly changing. Tune us in on the radio when you head out the door, 101.5 HD3.
All right, thank you, Ken. New video shows the moment a 5.2 magnitude earthquake hit Southern California. Take a look at this video here. Shows a baby sleeping in a crib when it is rattled awake by the earthquake. The baby was not hurt, just startled. The quake was recorded around 10 o'clock yesterday morning near Julian, California. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, more than 25 million people experienced weak to light shaking. Tremors were felt across a large part of the state from Los Angeles to San Diego, but a little startling for that poor baby.
Oh, hope they hugged that little baby right afterward. A federal judge issued a setback to President Donald Trump's immigration policy. A U.S. district judge ruled the administration cannot end existing deportation protections, specifically for certain Cuban, Haitian, Nicaraguan, and Venezuelan migrants. The ruling related to migrants who are in the United States legally under a humanitarian relief program. And the judge says the administration's effort to suddenly end that program violates federal law.
The man accused of breaking into and setting fire to Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro's home has been denied bail. According to police, Cody Balmer said he would have beaten Shapiro with a hammer if he had encountered him. Balmer is facing charges including attempted murder, aggravated arson, and terrorism. In an arraignment hearing, he did not enter a plea. Investigators say Balmer jumped a fence and broke into the home before setting the fire early Sunday morning. Police say he confessed to starting the fire using gasoline that he poured into beer bottles to make Molotov cocktails. Investigators believe mental health issues may have been a factor.
So a recent tornado traveled more than 100 miles in 2 states. Kind of blows my mind that it would happen, but meteorologist Chris Michaels shows us just how rare that is. And Chris, this has even happened here in North Carolina.
It has before in 1992, and we'll show you that track in a little bit. This is the final result that came from kind of a conjoined effort between the Weather Service in Little Rock and in Paducah, Kentucky. And it takes a lot of time. A lot of different points were surveyed to find that this tornado in March was on the ground for 117 miles, and at its peak, it was an EF4. Now, in terms of what that would be here, 117 miles would be from Rayford to Rocky Mount. And again, a tornado of that length has happened before in North Carolina. In the U.S., the longest on record is reportedly 219 miles back in 1925. In North Carolina, our longest lasting tornado on record traveled 160 miles from around Anger to Elizabeth City. And again, that was in 1992. But on average, average, tornadoes travel about 3.5 miles and less than 10 minutes on the ground. We bring that up because tomorrow's kind of an important anniversary, if you want to call it that. It's the 14-year mark since the tornado outbreak that spawned 30 across North Carolina. We'll have that for you. Look back on the meteorology and the memories of it tomorrow on Fox 50.
All right. Thank you, Chris. Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez will be back in California today for the next stops on their Fighting the Oligarchy tour. An estimated 12,000 people came to their rally at a sold-out arena in Idaho last night. Sanders says they chose to visit deeply conservative Idaho because they, quote, don't accept this blue state, red state nonsense. We are one people.
The Ohio State Buckeyes trip to the White House didn't go exactly as planned. Near the end of the team's visit, Vice President J.D. Vance lifted the team's college football national championship trophy, and then, right there, it slipped from his fingers and detached from its base, which fell to the ground. Now, Vance is an Ohio native. He had a little fun with it, joked on X social media platform, saying, quote, I didn't want anyone after Ohio State to get the trophy, so I decided to break it.
Whoopsie. All right. Well, President Trump says he might pause tariffs for automakers. He says he hopes to give companies time to adjust their supply chains. This would be the latest tariff exemption after removing a 125% tariff on electronics from China. Last week, President Trump announced for 90 days his border tariffs against dozens of countries would instead be set at a baseline 10% to give time for negotiations. When President Trump announced the 25% auto tariffs in March, he described them as, quote, permanent.
And Michelle, tomatoes will likely become more expensive this summer because of tariffs taking effect mid-July. Most tomatoes from Mexico will have a tariff just over 20%. The U.S. Commerce Department says it is exiting a plan made during President Trump's first term that ended a tariff dispute. The deal was meant to protect U.S. growers, but the Commerce Department says that has not happened. Mexico accounts for more than 90% of U.S. tomato imports.
A new bill says North Carolina school libraries could not have books that contain any description of sexual activity. That's under a bill scheduled to be heard this afternoon in a state House committee. House Bill 636 would also allow people to sue to a school for damages and other remedies for alleged violations. The bill's filing allows years of debate over whether certain books are appropriate for students, as well as whether some books are being unfairly targeted by attempts to ban them. You can follow our coverage today and learn more about the bill at the NC Capitol section of WRAL.com. And switching gears now to weather. Not going to be as warm as we were yesterday, but it's still going to be a pretty nice day, Elizabeth.
Yeah, yesterday we hit 85 degrees. Today we're talking about low 70s, but that's still really comfortable. The thing about today is our weather maker is a cold front coming through. We're going to see increasing clouds and a very small chance of a sprinkle. A bigger deal, maybe the wind that we see with this system. Right now we're looking at Fayetteville, Raleigh, Apex, Chapel Hill. Still a good bit of sunshine out there, especially in Fayetteville. But we're beginning to see the clouds thicken up slowly out there as our next weather maker approaches. This afternoon, winds will be gusting up to 30 miles per hour. And after a little bit of a sprinkle, the winds will begin to shift to northwesterly, and that will drop our temperatures into the 40s overnight tonight. So you may be reaching for a coat again tomorrow morning. As this front has been cruising toward North Carolina, there were some severe thunderstorm warnings up into Virginia. We've had some rain and some thunderstorms in the mountains. I wouldn't expect any thunder or lightning with this, but you can definitely see those clouds starting to ease in. And notice there, right at lunchtime, a couple of showers pop up, especially for our northern counties. We couldn't rule out rain anywhere, but just note that a lot of this could evaporate before it reaches the ground. And if you do see something, it'll move through pretty quickly. Futurecast by 4 or 5 o'clock starts to clear out. We'll see some sunshine potentially by the time we get to the evening commute. Our gusts later this afternoon will be 25 to 30 miles per hour. So the wind may be the biggest thing that you'll notice out of this system. Our weather headlines, definitely going to see a warm front pushing the warmth into our area. Again, just in time for Easter, starting on Friday. Watching for the chance of a stray shower on Sunday in the afternoon. Really just a 20% chance. So we'll keep our eye on that in case that does look a little bit more robust. Just keep checking back. But of course, today, 20%, Sunday and Monday, also a 20% chance. If you're headed out for an early Easter egg hunt on Sunday morning or an Easter sunrise service, expect temperatures to be in the low 60s. Should be a real pretty day for us on Easter Sunday. By 11 o'clock, about 70 degrees, and our high temperature that afternoon around 83. Again, the 80s kick back in on Friday, and they may be with us into early next week. Ken?
All right, Elizabeth, happening now in the WRAL Traffic Center. We're seeing congestion building on many many of our major routes, including the Beltline right here. You can see the southern loop of the Beltline as well as the northern loop of the Beltline. So let's go outside and give you a look, courtesy of our live cam network. This is I-40 and Lake Wheeler Road. Those are the westbound lanes moving away from us. As far as the northern loop, we are seeing that bit of a slowdown, but at least traffic is moving in those westbound lanes this morning, so not a problem to report. You're going to get there. It's going to take you some time, but you'll get there. In terms of major routes coming into the capital city, the main delay right now we're seeing our friends in Wake Forest, you're looking at an 11-minute delay coming in to the capital city. Over in Durham, very little to no delays, except maybe on Highway 98 coming in there, Highway 50 this morning. So give yourself some extra time at that part of your commute. Want to isolate I-885 this morning? You're just looking at a 5-minute delay if you're going into Durham, and just a 3-minute delay if you're trying to get 885 to I-40 this morning. You're getting ready to head out the door. Tune us in on the radio, 101.5 HD3.
Toll plan. Your drive on US 1 could come at a cost. The new proposal that could have you paying a toll on the highway.
And funding boost. A plan to build North Carolina's first standalone children's hospital could get major backing. The proposed investment. That's coming up next.
As you get into your car, tune to WRAL News Plus on your radio. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM. In Durham, 96.5 FM. And everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
Good morning. Happy Tuesday. Time now is 8:26. I'm Michelle McConaughey. We're in for a pretty nice day today. Meteorologist Elizabeth Garter tracking a little bit of cloud cover, but overall it's going to be nice.
It's a really mild start out there. 65 in Wilson, 67 Durham, 65 in Fayetteville. A little bit of cloud cover beginning to creep in, as Michelle said, and the whirligigs are spinning a little faster. It's a bit breezy, and it will be windier later on today. Right now, winds about 5 to 15 miles per hour out of the southwest. We have a small chance for showers around midday with this front coming through, just a 20% chance. So if you're out walking the dog this morning, it feels real comfortable. Our high temperatures will stay cool this afternoon, though, in the low 70s. Ken?
Happening now in the WRAL Traffic Center. Let's take a spin around the Beltline, shall we? Starting on the southern loop, you're looking at I-40 and Lake Wheeler Road. You can see the bumper-to-bumper traffic there. On the northern loop, a much different scenario. Even though seeing a little bit of a slowdown, traffic is still moving nicely. Elsewhere, all other major routes are relatively delay-free at this hour. We're going to keep your eye on this and have an update at the bottom of the hour over on Fox 50.
Thanks, Ken. Today, a proposal for you to pay a toll on part of Capitol Boulevard will take a step forward. Raleigh City Council will hear a presentation on a study that looked at that option between 540 and the Franklin County line along that road. This comes after complaints there are not enough lanes and too many cars. And today, Republican leaders in the House and Senate will begin debating key issues involving the more than $30 billion proposed budget. The Senate is expected to pass the plan this week, and then it goes to the House, which is likely to have substantial disagreements with some of it. Next on Fox 50, the massive funding boost that could go to the state's first standalone children's hospital. And coming up on Today, a look at the best denim for your body.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
Our next weather maker, a cold front that is getting ready to swing across our area. Clouds increase, the wind will as well, and a chance for rain. I'll walk you through it.
$30 billion budget. This is a live look at the NC Legislative Building. Lawmakers will start debating what stays and what's cut from the budget proposal, the areas that lawmakers want to focus on the most.
And tax return tracking. Once you file, it can be frustrating waiting to get your return in the mail. 5 on your sides. Keely Arthur will walk us through the best tools to keep track of your return. Thank you so much for returning here with us and staying tuned to Fox 50. I'm Michelle McConaughey.
I'm Chris Lovingood. Yeah, we're keeping our eye on the weather right now because Elizabeth Garter's been tracking the next weather maker for us. But first, current conditions, not too bad outside, Elizabeth.
You know, it feels really comfortable. Temperatures are in the 60s as you head out the door. I grabbed the jacket and I walked outside. I'm like, yeah, you know, 60s does feel pretty good. Here's a live look at Durham. Notice the cloud cover really streaming in. Earlier this morning, we were nice and bright, but those clouds are really starting to build a bit as our cold front gets closer to us. Still a southwest wind at around 8 miles per hour and 67 degrees. But temperatures, now that we're clouding up, will probably hold in the 60s for a bit. Winds will increase this afternoon. We'll see gusts up to 25 to 30 miles per hour. It's not enough to cause any damage, but you'll just notice it feels blustery and cooler than yesterday. Current temperatures are mostly in the mid 60s right now, and that's about 10 to 15 degrees warmer than it was this time yesterday. Hour by hour rain chances are minimal, just a 20% chance as this front comes through. Coming up, we'll walk through Futurecast. And notice that temperatures do stay cooler this afternoon with those clouds. Highs are only in the low 70s. Ken?
8:31, Elizabeth, happening now in the WRAL traffic center. A couple of incidents I want to bring your attention to, mainly this one here in Durham on the Durham Freeway near Highway 55. We're told that at least a couple of lanes are blocked as a result of that crash. So I'm going to keep an eye on it and let you know if it'll continue to affect your morning commute. So alternate routes might be in order. Down here in Johnston County, there's a crash at the intersection of Highway 42 and US 70 this morning. You can see the huge delays it's causing on Highway 70. I would recommend using Business 70 as an alternate route to avoid what's happening there on Highway 70. So keep that in mind if you're about to head out. Take a spin around the Beltline, shall we? Starting on the southern loop, you're looking at I-40 and Lake Wheeler Road, that bumper-to-bumper traffic. The northern loop of the Beltline, things are moving a little better, which is nice if you have to navigate the northern loop of the Beltline. In terms of major routes coming into the capital city, you're looking at maybe an 8-minute delay if you're coming in from Apex this morning. We're just seeing a little bit of a slowdown there, an 11-minute delay if you're coming in from Wake Forest this morning on US 1. Over in the Bull City, very little to no delay, so to speak, coming into the Bull City this morning. You're getting ready to head out the door. Tune us in on the radio, 101.5 HD3.
Part of I-885 South in Durham back open after a car fire shut down a lane near Cheek Road. This happened just after 6 o'clock this morning. Video shows the car completely destroyed because of flames. We are working to learn what caused that vehicle to catch fire and whether anybody was hurt in this.
New this morning, I-40 East in Durham is back open after being closed for almost 5 hours after a tractor trailer crash. What you're seeing right here is video from the WRAL breaking news tracker around 2 o'clock this morning on I-40 and Barbie Road. It's not clear right now at this point what led up to the crash or whether anyone was injured.
Police were at the scene of a shooting that killed a man in Durham until 3:30 this morning. The man was found shot and killed in his car around 9 o'clock last night near Cortland Drive and Brighton Road. We are working to learn the man's name and if police have any information on a shooter.
Today, state lawmakers will debate a plan on how to spend billions of your tax dollars. State Senate Republicans are working on a plan that would spend more than $30 billion. And WRAL's Kelsey Coffey breaks down what is in this proposed budget.
Today, state lawmakers will take a closer look at that budget. Our NC Capitol team spent hours here at the Legislative Building yesterday digging into those details. We'll give you a breakdown of what we know so far. The total budget is $32.6 billion. $700 million of that is going towards Helene recovery. Raises for teachers and state employees are much smaller than what we've seen in recent years. The average teacher raise is 2.3% in the first year, while the average state employee raise is 1.25% in the first year. Law enforcement and correctional officers will receive a $3,000 bonus over 2 years. State Senate leader Phil Berger says the Senate budget will double down on more cuts, ensuring income taxes will drop from 4.25% this year to just under 3% in tax year 2028. Despite the fact analysts warn this could lead to a budget deficit by 2027. Our NC Capitol team will be back here again today. They'll ask lawmakers what they think should be passed in the final budget. We'll be sure to keep you updated, and you can find a full breakdown of the budget proposal on our website, WRAL.com. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News in Raleigh.
The state's budget proposal could mean more money for North Carolina's first standalone children's hospital being planned. Republican Senate leaders released a spending plan last night, and it proposed investing another $535 billion into this hospital. The additional money was one of the biggest earmarks in the Senate's more than $32 billion spending proposal. The hospital is expected to be completed in the early 2030s, and it's a partnership between UNC and Duke.
Today, the Raleigh City Council will discuss a proposal that would have you paying a toll to drive on US 1. The council will hear a presentation on a study that looked at that option between 540 and the Franklin County line. This comes after complaints there aren't enough lanes and too many cars on the road. The construction would take about 6 years. Some drivers say they are not interested.
I'm not worried about that. I'm kind of a penny pincher, so I avoid everything that costs if I can.
And you can find a link to the survey to share your thoughts on the proposal on WRAL.com.
For most Americans, the tax deadline is today. However, here in North Carolina, people have an extension from the IRS because of Helene. You have until May 1st to file your taxes. A rally at the state capitol today will focus on curbing domestic violence. The group wants to pass a law requiring judges to be trained and educated on domestic violence and child abuse. What you're seeing is video of a previous year's rally. It's called Jesse's Law. It's named for a boy whose father killed him in 2012. The legislation would keep children from the care of abusive parents.
Crews are working to install new crash barriers on I-87 as part of the project to complete NC 540. The work will continue tonight starting at 9 o'clock on I-87 southbound at I-540. It's expected to be done by 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. The work is part of the effort to extend the Triangle Expressway from I-40 to I-87. If all goes to plan, that connection should be done in 2028.
Covering Orange County, the Board of Commissioners will discuss approving the purchase of a land to build a crisis diversion facility in Hillsborough. Now, this would be built on Waterstone Drive next to the UNC Hospital's campus, if you're familiar. The facility is meant to be a place where people can get help for behavioral health crises. The county's plan is for the facility to provide 24-hour care to people as young as 4 years old. The board could make a final decision on approving the purchase during their meeting tonight.
Today, Governor Josh Stein and North Carolina First Lady Anna Stein will honor athletes who competed in the Special Olympic World Games in Italy. They'll recognize the 3 North Carolina athletes who competed and torch run representatives who went to the World Games. The luncheon is happening from 11 to 1 p.m. today at the governor's mansion. Ken Smith will be there as chair of the Special Olympics of North Carolina Board.
Your time is 8:38. Tracking taxes. Once you send them off, it's kind of a waiting game until you get your return. 5 on your side's Keely Arthur will show us the best ways to keep track.
And an Easter mystery. A bunny set for adoption disappears from its cage.
I had to tell her over the phone just a few minutes ago, and she's like, why would somebody take my rabbit?
Hear from a Wake County SPCA worker on what they think might have happened as they search for the bunny named Cookie Dough.
And we'll leave you with a live look at Franklinton this morning. A little overcast skies there, but the sun's out. Temperatures rise into the Easter holiday weekend, but there is one thing that could change that. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner will break that down.
842, take a look here at RDU. This is a live look. Look at the cloud cover that has started to really build in. We were expecting this by around 8 or 9 o'clock, so it's right on time. As we see our cold front getting closer to us, we're seeing the clouds increasing. Temperatures, though, holding pretty steady, mainly in the mid-60s, 63 Roxborough, 66 in Garner, 65 in Cary, so it feels comfortable as you're heading out the door. Already becoming a little breezy, starting to see some winds gusting now to 18 in Goldsboro, but winds are steady out of the west-southwest at about 5 to 15 miles per hour. Just a 20% chance of showers for today as that front comes through. It'll be fairly moisture-starved. Yesterday we hit 85, so temperatures are much cooler. A little sprinkle around lunchtime, but it should be pretty comfortable for a run later this afternoon at 5 o'clock, 73, and by then the sun should be back out, Ken.
Elizabeth, happening now in the WRAL Traffic Center. We want to go down to Johnston County and give you a look at the situation that's brewing down there on the US 70 and Highway 42. That's the crash right there on Highway 42. It's causing quite a big of a slowdown. I would recommend using Highway 70 Business as an alternate route in terms of what's going on, because you see the huge delays it's causing right now. If you're getting ready to head out the door, tune us in on the radio, 101.5 HD3.
Today, advocates across North Carolina will meet to raise awareness about unaffordable court fines and fees. So if you don't pay them, you could have your driver's license suspended, probation extended, and sometimes you could even be arrested. Well, today, organizers with legal partners plan to file hundreds of motions to waive or reduce people's debt. And they say they hope more widespread awareness will help ease financial hardships that many North Carolinians face.
No matter when you filed your taxes, if you know you're getting a return, it can't come soon enough, right? 5 on your side's Keely Arthur shares how to track the status of your state and federal tax returns.
Most refunds are issued in less than 21 calendar days. Taxpayers who file electronically will typically get an updated status 24 hours within filing. It takes about 4 weeks for the same information to be available for those filing paper returns. Here's how to check. Go to Where's My Refund tool on irs.gov. The IRS updates the Where's My Refund tool once daily, usually overnight, so there's no need to check refund statuses multiple times a day. To check refund status, taxpayers will need Social Security or individual taxpayer ID numbers, filing status, and the exact refund amount. Several factors may affect the timing of a refund delivery, including filing an incomplete or inaccurate return, corrections to the Earned Income Tax Credit or additional child tax credit, and banking processing and posting times. The IRS will contact taxpayers by mail if more information is needed to process a return. To check the status of your state return, go to ncdor.gov/refund. Click Check Your Refund Status, type in your Social Security number and return amount, and then hit Submit. Keely Arthur, 5 on your side.
And this year, because of Hurricane Helene, North Carolina taxpayers actually have until May 1st to file their state and federal tax returns. For more information, go to our website, WRAL.com. Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez will be back in California today for their next stops on their Fighting Oligarchy tour. An estimated 12,000 people came to their rally at a sold-out arena in Idaho last night. Sanders says they chose to visit deeply conservative Idaho because, quote, they don't accept this red state, blue state nonsense. We are one people.
There was one, and now there is a second. Jeff Hogan in the WR Live Center. Right now, a U.S. warship is in Mideast waters ahead of talks with Iran over a nuclear program. These are continuing talks now, and this is the United States supplying just a little bit of pressure here. This is ahead of the next round expected between Iran and the U.S. Tehran rapidly is advancing its nuclear program. There's satellite photos that the Associated Press has seen that show that. So there are suspected airstrikes also that pounded parts of Yemen, controlled by Iranian-backed Houthi rebels overnight and into today. So this is a U.S. month-long campaign against the Houthis under President Donald Trump as just a way to pressure some of these negotiations, because questions still remain into how this will get resolved and still remain over where the second round of talks will be held.
The Ohio State Buckeyes trip to the White House didn't go exactly as planned. Near the end of the team's visit, Vice President J.D. Vance lifted the team's college football national championship trophy, as you see here. And then it slipped from his fingers and detached from its base, which fell to the ground. Now, Vance is an Ohio State graduate. He even joked about what happened there on X. He said, quote, I didn't want anyone after Ohio State to get this trophy, so I decided to break it. Good humor there. Paige Beckers will start her WNBA career at the top. She was the #1 pick during the WNBA draft yesterday, and that was just 8 days after she led Connecticut to the NCAA championship.